Hi friends, no matter when you are watching this video, this is an extremely important video if you ever want to take investment bets into the auto sector in India. In the recent few days, I have seen a lot of comments on my channel that Rahul, can you speak about Tata Motors, Bajaj Auto, Hero Motocorp, what is going on in these companies? So I thought I'll create this video about the auto sector itself, because if you look at these companies in isolation and ignore the sectoral view, you are likely to make dangerous mistakes that may cause a lot of losses for you. So in this video, I'm going to speak about auto sector in general, and it will massively help you pick up individual companies because you understand the sector view, right? So with that background, let me start this video. First data point, if you have a look at my screen, is the Nifty auto index's performance in the last few months. So if you look at from May 2023 to September 2024, almost 16 months of time duration, and Nifty auto index has gone up by 102%. An index going up by almost 100% within 16 months of time is not a joke. It really is not. Now in just few minutes, with some data backed analysis, I'll speak about what has caused this massive auto bull run in the last 16 months. But more importantly, if you look at this data is as of 30th of September 2024. What you will note very quickly is that Nifty auto in the last 1 year has given the best return after one of the index, Nifty Realty, right? So Nifty auto sector has been under a massive bull run in the last 1 year. It has given better returns than many other indices, as you can see on my screen, except the Nifty Realty. Now if you look at my screen, this massive bull run that we have seen, one very important aspect of this bull run is that there has been hardly any correction which is more than 10%. So I've tried to plot you some various instances here, and if you look at any of these instances, there has been hardly any correction that is more than 10%. So it has been a very easy sail through that Nifty auto companies have been performing really good in the last 14 to 16 months. But the key problem now we are seeing is that if I expand this and show you here, if you look at this data here from almost 1st of October onwards, if you look at this here, you will see that Nifty auto index now is down by 15%. And there is a question out there that what is causing this correction in auto companies right now in the auto sector as a broad index, and could this be the start of this massive bull run halting now and then index starts to come down, or is this just a temporary dip? That is what I want to discuss in this video now. So the first data point that we need to look at is the FIs buying or selling in the auto sector. Have a look at my screen and you will see the sectoral view of FIs buying or selling in the August to September time period, right? So the first point you see is the automobile and auto components here, and you will see that throughout August and as well as the September, you will see that FIs have been the net seller in the auto sector, right? It doesn't mean that the auto sector is a bad sector, FIs are going away. No, absolutely not. This is the mistake that people will do by looking at this data. Actually, many of the people even don't know the data. So the reason I'm bringing these details to you is because big investors look at this data to make their decisions. And for retail people like you and me, this data is not easily available, or people do not have time to go and find this type of data. And this is what I'm trying to help and educate a lot of people like you. And if you're liking this analysis, the only request I have is hit the like button. Let me know in the comments a simple thank you. It will motivate me. Now let's come back to here and talk about specifically why FIs are selling these companies in auto sector, right? And also what caused this massive bull run that we saw in the beginning of the video. Let me clarify that. Now have a look at this data. You will see that in 20 and 21 and 22, Nifty auto index returns were modest, right? Between 11 to 15 to 18%, not huge returns. But if you look at 23 and 24, in comparison to 21, 20 and 22, 23 and 24 has given very good return, 47% in 23 and 26% in 2024. So why there is a contrasting behavior here? So for that, if you look at this data, very important data here, this is the number of automobiles produced in India in millions, right? If you look at this data, you will see that in 20, 21, 22, we had a declining trend in terms of how many number of automobiles we were producing in India, right? While in 23 and 24, we saw that the number of automobiles we produce in India were going up. Now, why would companies produce more? They will produce more if there is a demand, right? And they will be able to sell it if there is a demand, right? So if you look at the sales data here, you will see that in 20, 21, 22, the demand for automobiles were coming down, mainly because of the COVID lockdown and many other things. The demand of the automobiles were coming down. So companies were not able to sell automobiles, and therefore companies were not producing a lot of automobiles, right? But in 23 and 24, as the lockdowns eased out, many other things happened, people started to buy automobiles automobiles, and this is where the production went up, and this is the key reason that the massive bull run that we have seen in 23-24 is because of the higher production. Because when companies are producing more automobiles, what is happening? Their earnings are going up, and when the earnings are going up, what is happening? The valuations become easy for investors. They know that there is going to be a growth here. They come and flock and buy auto companies, and that is what precisely has happened in the case of auto sector. Now comes the $1 million question. So Rahul, what is happening in FY25? Now FY25 has not finished yet. We are halfway down, and this is very, very important for you to understand that what is going to play out in the next 6 months. I do not know in terms of the demand and supply, but the last 2 months of trend in August and September is what we need to understand. And if we understand that, we are going to be able to make selective calls in terms of which companies we should target in auto, which companies we should avoid. It's very, very dangerous right now if you go and pick up blindly a company that has given 80% returns in the last 6 months. That is going to be a very, very dangerous game right now. So we need to understand what is going on in terms of the sales pattern in the last 2 months. And whenever you are analyzing auto companies, what you need to do is on a monthly basis, auto companies publish their sales data, their inventory data. What is inventory? Inventory is equal to production minus sales. So a company is producing 100 units, and if they're able to sell 80, then 20 is their inventory. And if higher the inventory, that tells you that they are not able to sell more. The production is high, the sales is down. This is the key concept. If you understand this key concept about automobiles, then you are never going to make bad decisions, hopefully, right? So now let me bring you that data. So for that, what we are going to do is we are going to look at the pockets of the auto sector. 4 segments we see in auto sector. Two-wheelers is your motorcycles, scooters, etc. Passenger vehicles, your cars, your SUVs, etc. Commercial vehicle sector, and then we have three-wheelers, right? Now let me now speak about the sales data for each of them. Now before I talk about the opportunities in these sectors and which companies may be looking better here, one thing that we need to know is 77% of Indian automobiles is the two-wheeler segment, followed by the passenger vehicle, which is around 16%, and commercial vehicle and three-wheelers are the least in terms of the contribution. Now let me first speak about the passenger vehicle. So companies like Tata Motors, companies like Hyundai, companies like Maruti, what is going on in that particular segment? So first of all, have a look at the August sales data, and what you will see on my screen is that in August 2024, the sales for majority of the car making companies is down. Look at Maruti, look at Hyundai, look at Tata Motors, except few companies like Mahindra and Mahindra, Toyota is not listed, Kia, which is the part of Hyundai anyways, but you see majority of the sales have been dropping in the month of August. What about in the month of September? Exactly the same story. Maruti, Hyundai, every other company is down, Tata is down except Mahindra, Toyota and Kia. What is it telling you? It is telling you two important facts, that right now in the month of August and September, the passenger vehicle segment sales have been down. So if you're taking any bets in the companies like Maruti, Hyundai, Tata, all these companies, you really need to be careful because their sales are coming down. When the sales come down, what happens? Their earnings are going to get impacted. Now, will this trend continue or not? I do not know. I can't predict it, but this is the trend we are seeing right now, that there is a decline right now. Mahindra, in contrast, the sales have gone up. This brings me to second point, which is very, very important, that although the passenger vehicle inventory is hitting 80 to 85 days, there is a slightly different behavior when it comes to Mahindra. And for that, what I know is that the premiumization or the SUV story of Mahindra is playing out. For example, Mahindra's Thar Rocks, if you look at the booking, record 1.76 lakhs customers reserve SUV in just 1 hour. So what is actually happening here potentially is that the consumer preference about cars might be changing. The people do not want the smaller versions or the small base with some minor variations. They are now looking at various SUV models that are coming up in the market, and this is the point that you need to understand before you take any investment call in the passenger vehicle segment. Now let me present to you the two-wheeler sales data, and before I do that, if you're so far liking this analysis, hit the like button. Also, if you're looking for these insightful analysis about the sectors and the companies and the mutual funds or the ETFs, you can consider joining my YouTube member community, because I bring a lot of insights from the market that will make you a better investor. The link is in the description or in the pinned comments. The feedback about this community has been excellent. People have enjoyed learning from each other, and people have enjoyed learning practical way of investing in stock market. With that, let's come to the two-wheeler sales data, and here you will see that in the month of August, overall two-wheeler sales have gone up by 9.3%. Majority of the companies except Royal Enfield, which is owned by Eicher, Except that majority of the companies have done pretty well in terms of the sales. If you look at the September data, again 15.8% of growth. So I think if you look at August and September, they have been good months in terms of the two-wheeler sales. But however, you need to really caution that I don't know the future, you don't know the future. In fact, Bajaj Auto, if I remember that correctly, they came out with a statement that in the month of September, October, November, although there is a festive season, Diwali season is going on, they still are projecting slower growth in terms of the sales of the data. Now, we don't know really how that will play out, but right now from a two-wheeler segment perspective, the sales in the month of August and September is looking pretty good to me, and I don't think there is going to be huge pressure. But if you see what happens in the stock prices, even the Hero MotoCorp, Bajaj Auto, they also cracked because there is an overall fear in the auto sector because of the sales coming down in the passenger car vehicle sector. What about the commercial vehicle, the third sub-segment? And if you look at the commercial vehicle, you will note here Tata Motors, Mahindra, Ashok Leyland, and Eicher, which is Volvo Eicher commercial vehicles. All four companies' sales have been down. And I think Tata Motors in the beginning of this year forecasted that their commercial vehicle sales will come down throughout this year. And this is what is right now playing out. So if you want to again take your bets, please be very, very careful that the commercial vehicle sales in India is coming down. Also, I was reading about KPIT Technologies, IT company, and what they were projecting is the very similar pattern is playing out in Europe as well, because that's where KPIT Technology, many of their customers are in mainland Europe, and they are also seeing very, very similar trend in Europe as well with respect to the commercial vehicles. So please be very, very careful about playing out your investments in the commercial vehicle segment. You need to really look at these aspects before you make investment calls. Now, last is the three-wheeler segment. And here, if you see, for example, here, if you look at the Mahindra here, the September sales, for example, here 23, 24 versus there has been some growth, 22%. Bajaj Auto, if you see, 638% from a three-wheelers perspective, right? So all in all, three-wheeler sector is a growing sector. Commercial vehicle sector, sales are coming down. Motorcycles and scooters, the sales are fine, they are up. Passenger car vehicles, the sales are down. Now, when you're picking a auto stock, what you really need to look at is the what percentage of their earnings are coming from these different sectors, because that will tell you a lot about that company. Of course, there are individual considerations about specific companies. So for example, Tata Motors, they are also going to undergo demerger, right? Now, I can't speak a lot about that, otherwise that will be a separate video itself, but I am giving you all these parameters for you to go and evaluate. Do not take these as investment bets. Here, I have given you sectoral view. This is what you really need to look at. Last point that I want to make is at the Nifty auto index level. Some of you might say that, Rahul, if that's the case, that we need to look at the pockets where we need to find opportunities, why don't we consider investing in the Nifty auto index? Of course, you can do that. That is up to you whether you want to take that call or not. But if you look at the Nifty auto index, the individual stocks weight in that index, if you see Mahindra and Mahindra is at 21%, Tata Motors at 16%, and so on and so forth, what you will note is that in my view, some of these companies in the next short term, okay, 6 months to 12 months might be under pressure. Some of these companies might be doing well, right? I do not know which ones, right? So I can't really tell you. Overall, I see that the good performances and bad performance might get nullified. So I really don't think that auto index at a whole is giving you opportunities. In my view right now, if anybody wants to take any bets in the auto sector, you have to go very, very specific. You have to first select the sub-segment that I talked about out of the four. One is commercial vehicle, passenger vehicle, then you have got your three-wheelers, motorcycles. So choose one out of these four, and within that, then you look at the companies for which the sales are up, their management is good, their earnings growth is looking very, very good. Their projection for the next 6 months that the management is giving is not very, very bleak. And overall, look at the valuation where it stands right now in terms of the PE ratio, PB ratio. Look at those factors that I generally speak about, and that itself will give you pretty good picture in terms of where is the pocket for you to go and invest. My final point, that in order for me to create this content and bring you this in a nicely packaged video between 10 to 15 minutes, it takes a lot of effort. So if you like this, humble request you to hit the like button. Let me know in the comments a simple thank you. That's what motivates me to bring such videos for you at zero cost, no cost to you. But if you want to learn serious investing, what you can do is consider subscribing to my YouTube member community. I post almost on a daily basis in-depth analysis about sectors, various assets, for example, mutual funds, ETFs, etc. And you are going to learn a lot with that sort of commentary. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in my next video. Until then, keep rocking.